All right, so when you have a little bit of information, right? Like say you're at a certain health condition, right? And you kind of try to figure out how you got there. It's not just the food you eat. You get what I'm saying? There's certain things metaphysically that are happening aside from just physically consuming food. You hold on to grudges. You have a lot of hatred toward, you know, just certain things about life itself. Regrets. Holding on to things, you know, you notice that all these things like holding on to grudges, hating something, it's just very inflammatory. It's very there's no circulation to it. There's no malleability. It's just very, you know, it's stagnant situations. You know, when they say just let go, forgive and forget, you know, it's all good, just go with the flow. And you know, a lot of times when I listen to, again, certain philosophies, they're misunderstood philosophies. I mean, one of the important things to look at here is basically how religion even started. You know, when you listen to, like, let's say the Bible was written by men and it was inspired by God, right? So if I write a book, what motivates and inspired me to write that book? You get what I'm saying? What ideas, what energy was I in that motivated me to take the action to write a book, you know? So, you know, when you look at this, this is the greatest story ever told. So the Bible is a story written about you, you know, but then a misunderstood philosophy would be you just completely took this and look at this external to you. So now you give your power to a God outside of yourself when this is all basically talking about you. That's what the Bible is, just a story about you. You know, we get into the area of spirituality and all this new age information we listen to. I mean, you have and before I even get into the spirituality part, you can look at the religion part. Constantly needing a savior, and not just in a religious aspect, but that's basically, you look at it from the totality of things, like God to fix your problems. But overall, how you manage yourself in life with the government, you know, people, places, and things around you, depend on things outside of you to fix your problems, you know, which is why you have to, you know, they make you go vote and do all this shit because you feel like these people are going to fix something. And if you notice that nobody ever really fixes anything, you know, you're always left unfulfilled. So then you turn to Jesus. The religion is something that you wait for now, for Jesus to come back and save you, you know. And the only reason is from a place of needing or a space of unfulfillment, that you go and seek or try to search or depend on something outside of you to fix your current condition. Now, when we look at spirituality, for example, the new age information that you'll hear is basically, you know, how black people are better than white people. You know, better technology as far as their body goes. The melanated man is more powerful than the white man. The white man stole the information from the black man. You see how it's just constantly creating more of a separation amongst individuals. You get what I'm saying? And in actuality, I mean, you're genderless. You're actually colorless as well. Formless, and you know, there is really there's not even a shape to you, you know. But you associate with this character. But why? Through programming. You know, I talk to certain people, they talk about black slavery and whatnot. Well, you can't deny black slavery. I mean, you're not there now, you know. I mean, black slavery. So this whole programming where you're considered the minority, you hear information like this, it resonates with you because you think you're getting your power back, but in actuality it's a trap, because you keep further now associating with this character that you think you are, that you're not. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can listen to financial gurus. If you listen to or stay in the patterns of the past, that's what you'll just keep getting more of. You get what I'm saying? The past could be considered a library or a storehouse of information. Like, no different than if you pick up the Bible, you're reading something that happened in the past, right? So you could look at the Bible as a science book, right, to get you to decode your reality. But first it has to be, what state are you in? Have you checked yourself first? You realize that this book is a book about you. right? And not a book about a God or a man that existed once just like you, that has more powers than you. Because even in the Bible, if you read it, it says that you can do things even better than I can, you know? But the whole thing is that you're taking this book from the past and you're staying in a certain mind state, which is just keeping you in the same patterns. You know what I'm saying? So somebody who keeps on saying black history, and now they further now associate with this black character and have a sense of pride toward the black character that they think they are now. What patterns do you think you stay in? If you're not even you're not even human, you know, but you stay in that pattern because that's what you're associating with, and they give you these stories to give you a sense of pride. It's gonna stir an emotion, and it further solidifies you into a certain state, even giving you more of a sense of separation between you and the white man outside of you. You get what I'm saying? Now, this whole idea that we start mixing philosophies, I mean, even when you start to look at financial gurus, you think that these self-development videos are just about acquiring money, and it goes beyond that. But before you even go into the area of self-development, I mean, you check yourself first. You know, what are you trying to develop? What is the self that you're trying to develop, and what is the purpose of you even getting into the area of self-development? You get what I'm saying? You got desires and goals that you want to accomplish. But where are you coming? Are you coming from a space of lack and need? Or do you realize that this is already all yours, right? And you're coming from a space of gratitude at where you're at now. And the abundance that you seek is already yours. And you're already there. Which is why they say you are that which you seek. You know what I'm saying? So all that is already yours. So you're basically going out and riding waves that you know that, I mean, you're not really chasing them. The waves come to you. You ride the waves, you know? And you're surfing the waves, but you're not chasing waves. The waves come to you and you ride the waves, you know? But the whole thing is that these misunderstood philosophies are a problem even with non-duality, because I noticed that certain people are on the frequency, but certain people are not. And it's just creating a sense of nihilism to some extent, or escapism. You hate your current situation so much that information like that resonates with you, and then you don't really understand the whole philosophy behind it. You get what I'm saying? So you're really not getting what you need, you know, which is why even when certain things are spoken on, it's not really the information. It's like an energetic frequency that you experience, you know. Self-development is something to look at where, like I mentioned in the previous video, the two videos I just made, I kind of made examples where I'm playing a video game. I'm not the character in the video game. However, I'm playing the video game to advance as much as possible in the video game, right? What's the point of turning on the video game if I'm going to be in a state where I say, oh, what happens here doesn't matter? No, I'm enjoying the game by actually trying to advance more in the game, you know? And again, I understand the whole philosophy with the non-duality and whatnot. I've made many examples in even previous videos as far as to even just being in a dream. When you go to sleep at night, all the characters, all the people in that dream, all right, are you, because they're in your head. You're the one dreaming, and nobody's having that dream with you but you. Except here in this reality, you're in a dream participating with different versions of yourself as well. I mean, you're playing a game the moment you open your eyes and you light the world up and you animate everything with your sense of sight. You know what I'm saying? Your sense of sight, you're lighting up the world. Again, the light that we see up in the sky, we say that this is the light of the world, and without the sun, there'd be no life on the planet. And we use that as an allegory for Jesus Christ, right? Which Jesus is the Son, right? The Son of God. But none of that would be possible unless I open my eyes and I am experiencing this reality. You get what I'm saying? Now we can get into different topics. Well, what if people are blind and whatnot, which I can make another video, because that's going to involve like different senses and whatnot, or, you know, certain things of memory that we have, you know, stored in our vessel. Which our vessel, for example, it's like, you know, when you start to look at the food you eat. You get what I'm saying? Let's say, for example, aside from like health, you get into it. This is how I started the video. You get into a certain like, you know, let's say health conditions that are not favorable for you. So we start to now isolate these bad ideas and buy into them, called diseases. It's a perfect frequency and harmony that's gonna give you a certain outcome depending on how you eat. So the foods you're eating, okay, if they're not of proper chemistry to the body, and it's just you know, we could consider it empty calories or empty life force, it's basically able to be inhabited by bad ideas such as diseases, right? So you go and slowly create disharmony or imbalances in your body, and you know, once you get a little bit of information about what you've been doing and what's gotten you to that state now, because there's nothing that can get you to a state of imbalanced chemistry in the body other than what you're eating physically through the mouth, or and of course in harmony and in frequency with inflammatory actions and inflammatory emotions such as like grudges, holding on to hate, regrets, you know, hard feelings and stuff like that. It's all inflammatory, stagnant energy, right? So things like that, along with diets that create stagnation and inflammation in the body, it's a perfect chemistry for you to have a physical expression of this bad idea called a disease, because now you have a knowledge of a disease, right? And then along with the negative emotions that you may have with the imbalanced type of food you're eating, it's like a perfect recipe for disaster. But once you know a little bit better, what can you do? You change your eating habits, right? You start to change your frequency. You start to, you know, get to know yourself by realizing that none of these things you're holding on to even matter, like grudges, negative patterns, fucking you know, regrets and stuff like that. None of those things even matter. So you start to let go of those things, right? Now you start to feel lighter, you start to move better, you start to circulate and flow a little bit more, right? So along with eating better and changing your negative behaviors, right? Now you start to realize that the information you've heard about diseases is nothing but bad ideas, and you don't buy into those ideas. Yeah, there's people who eat unhealthy and they live to be a very old age, which could be either good genes, or it could be that they're just not the type of person that lives such an inflammatory lifestyle. You know, at the end of the day, they're still vibing high. But there's a lot of people who, you know, you got spirituality, which demonizes religious folks. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got religious folks who live a hell of a lot better than spiritual people. Because the spiritual person, you know, they start to say, oh, you know, money is corrupt and the money is part of the system and it's fake, and you know, anybody who has this kind of power or just part of the elites and whatnot, this is it's like inverted stupid thinking, because all this is basically you. Anything you know of out here, once you start to realize who and what you are, is all yours. Like, you don't have anything out here to demonize. There's nothing to judge. You know, whatever you judge, that's why I say don't judge unless you be judged yourself. But that's because you judging things out here is you demonizing your actual self. There's really nothing to demonize out here. You just have to understand the philosophies, but understanding these philosophies is first understanding yourself. And you won't understand any philosophy. There be no room for judgment. So it's like, you know, when I spoke on even the possibilities of you wanting to acquire $1 million, you got an ultra spiritual person who would say, oh, I wouldn't chase the, you know, and they start to get into the science of what money actually is, like, you know, fiat currency and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? In actuality, when you look at it from a totality of things, I mean, the majority of humans go out and work and break their back for this fiat currency. Okay, so regardless if it's backed up by nothing or means nothing to you, has a lot of power still. Just like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ may mean nothing to you because you know he doesn't exist, the story's bullshit, but that Jesus Christ energy has a lot of power because a lot of people buy into it and it's valuable to a lot of people. You get what I'm saying? Now, if you start to integrate all these things that you have out here, and it's not to say that, you know, because you can transmute anything out here, including negative emotions, like anger, right? If I use that anger and channel it, I can create something from that anger because it's such a strong emotion. You get what I'm saying? I'm so angry at something that, you know, anger makes you speak out more. Sometimes people want to respond and lash out online more, and it's literally due through anger. You know, there's things that make you do things impulsively due to anger, but that's uncontrolled because the ego is the one in control of you if you're doing it impulsively. Okay, now if you do it where you're controlling it and channeling it, and you have this anger controlled, you channel it to where you want it to be, and you just literally created something powerful out of that strong emotion that we would consider a negative emotion, and you basically used it as a favorable outcome for yourself. So it's not to even demonize like fear. You know, there's the unhealthy fear, but there's also a very healthy level of fear. You know, if I'm getting into a fight, that healthy fear that I have is very useful to keep me sharp. You know, it's like one time I made a stupid example where I said that I was like drunk and I'm driving, but out of fear of getting pulled over, I felt like I drove better than even when I'm sober. Because when I'm sober, I'm just driving, I'm texting. Sometimes I'm like, I go off the road because I'm texting, I'm not paying attention. But because I was drunk, both hands were on the wheel. I'm looking, my eyes are fucking like open, like a fucking cat. You know what I'm saying? Like dilated and shit. And yo, I was dialed in, bro. I was like paying attention to every sign, every car. I was paying attention to everything. You know what I'm saying? And I was drunk as fuck. But I felt like when I got home, I felt like, and please don't do this shit. Don't drive drunk. I'm not fucking telling you to go do this shit. I'm just giving you an example. That's why I said it was a stupid example, but it was a very valuable point because it's just something that, yeah, you're in fear, but you utilize that fear to keep you sharper. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes your nerves and whatnot, all these things, it's important to keep your adrenals and nervous system healthy because it helps you navigate through life and make choices and keep your health in a harmonious state. You know what I'm saying? Like you be vibrationally sound, you know, a vibrant individual that one can look at as a vibrant individual. But you got to feel like that and look like that yourself first for you to expect others to see you like that first. Like they tell you, like, how love your neighbor as you love yourself. How could you love anybody if you don't love yourself first? It's all facts. You know what I'm saying? But this is the whole thing though. Like you have a certain level of respect and discipline toward just you as an individual, you know? Forget about you don't exist, you're not here, forget, just you're experiencing this reality, right? You want to have an experience where you're not going to wake up and, you know, and say I had a nightmare, or you could just be like I had the most beautiful dream ever, you know, and you're in a beautiful harmonious state. Look at, for example, before you sleep, don't they tell you that before you sleep it's important for you to sleep in a very good mental, spiritual, and physical state, right? In a harmonious, beautiful, balanced state. And it's important how you wake up to direct your day as to how it's going to go. It matters how you live and how you die. You live your life a certain way, but it's also going to matter how you die. You know, some people are here. We talk about people with spiritual contracts. You know, you're here, and they say that you're here, and your death date is already determined. You know, like you're determined to live up to 88. Nobody knows when they're gonna die, but everybody's date is already set in stone, like determined, right? Like you have a contract here in life, right? You have a life contract, but it's like you have a contract. Let's say in the UFC or an organization, and you can't leave that contract. It'd be breach of contract. You get sued by the organization if you leave before your contract is up. So you would have to actually finish all your fights, right? You would have to play out your contract before you can leave the organization, right? So a lot of people living unhealthy lifestyles, eating garbage, shit that doesn't belong in them, misunderstanding philosophies and making shit a lot harder on themselves. All they're doing is cutting their contract short. Right? So some people end up dying faster than they're supposed to because of lack of information. I mean, when you know better, what do? You just do better, right? So if you don't know any better and you don't realize that the system is based on business and you're basically going to be either consumed or you could be somebody that's producing, it's up to you. But if you die too soon, what do you think? You breach contract, you get sued, right? But I mean, we could look at that as negative karma, reincarnation. I mean, we can look at that in many different ways. But again, I made a video on reincarnation. In my opinion, everything's based on what you believe. But I mean, live your life, and having that like you as a UFC fighter, you would know at the end of your contract what you're gonna do, right? If you want to play out your contract, right? Like you got guys like Francis Ngannou who wants to go box, but he still had one fight under his contract, or he has to play out his contract or whatnot. So he can't go do anything until he finishes that contract. If not, he'll get sued for many, you know, a shitload of money. He'd probably end up being broke. And there's certain things you pursue, but see, when it comes to this is all a form of self-development. You know, you're doing things to favor you, and because it favors you, you favor everybody else as well. Because the thing is, if you develop yourself, you can help others develop now because you've developed yourself. A broken individual, like, this is one thing I heard that was powerful, and it's from Abraham Lincoln. You can help the poor by being one of them, right? So what do? You get a broken individual, right? Get yourself together, pick up the pieces. You're an individual, right? Get yourself together. You got to get yourself together, right? And then you can show others the way. But there's a lot of people who want to show others the way, but they don't even know. How do you know that's the way? You can't wake fucking certain people. Listen to my previous video. I spoke on this. There's certain people who need Jesus. They don't need to be indoctrinated into your philosophy. But yet, you can both still build, right? You can both still build. Notice how you work in jobs with different people, with all kinds of people. But they always tell you, the last thing you ever want to do when you're in a business with somebody is talk about religion or politics. Why? Why? Because that's what creates the separations. But you work together though, but you just won't touch on those topics. But you still work together in a business that's not yours. So all in the interest of helping a business thrive, you stay away from topics like religion and politics. You get what I'm saying? So why in your everyday life, right? Because you're basically, let's say if you want to be an entrepreneur or whatever it is you want to do, you want to try to be more self-sustaining. You could be more self-sustaining with people who don't have the same philosophies as you, but have similar mindsets at least. So if you have a similar mindset where you want to grow as an individual in the business world, but you both have different philosophies as far as like religion, but you have the same mindset to grow and prosper in the business world, right? That's still useful, right? But it's the same thing overall, and I'm only making these points because sometimes it's these differences that person may have that may be the only person that can help you propel forward, even in the area of where you guys don't agree on and see eye to eye on, you know? Because there's certain things that I've had conversations with people where we don't see eye to eye. He's giving me his point of view, and even though it's totally opposite to what I'm hearing, he's giving me gems and jewels, because what he's telling me, I'm not taking literal. Like what he's telling me about the Bible, I'm taking it and I'm decoding what he's saying, which actually now I was able to utilize his information to help me with my philosophies, you know? But if your philosophy ain't helping you, or you notice that there's something that's working against you, then you need to check your philosophy. And that goes with any philosophy, goes in many areas. But like this video if you do it, we'll talk soon.